Everyone, welcome to the Skagit PUD Board of Commissioners meeting for December 9th. Stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. I would be looking for a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we'll now move into audience comments. If you're online, if you'd use the raise your hand function, and if you're in the room, please come up to the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Old business. George.
All right, it's just me tonight. So good afternoon, everyone. Let's see. So training day, we had training day last Friday. We had a really good turnout, actually. Over 70 staff attended, and thought it went well. So thanks for everybody for pitching in and helping out. You know, Shannon and Krista and Michelle did a lot of work for that. So thank you to them for making it all happen. The holiday party scheduled for this Saturday. So RSVPs are still open, I'm assuming. So if you really wanted to come and haven't told anybody yet, Shannon will take your RSVP. Let's see, we were talking about it earlier, but there's a flood watch currently in place. And so Jay's been keeping an eye on the conditions and making sure we're prepared, and we're talking internally. So depending what happens tonight and tomorrow, we may begin to start moving vehicles and equipment around to strategic locations, higher ground, both sides of the river, those kinds of things. So Mike Fox is engaged, and like I said, Jay's sending updates to managers periodically. So we'll keep an eye on that. Staff are also being advised to prepare for potential disruptions in traffic and take laptops home where we can. So we're trying to prepare as well as we can, and we'll just wait and see what happens.
That's all we can do.
Let's see. This morning, Mark, Bill, and I had a meeting with our irrigation districts and with Jenna as well. And we did a little debrief on how the season went this past year. And the word we got was that it went very smoothly. We had our meters and our equipment in there this year for the first time. So that went really well. And so planning ahead for next year, the agreement that we signed back in 2024 was meant to be a short term. It was a 3-year agreement. So we're handling those kind of year by year. And so our intent is to do the same kind of agreement for next year. And then also next year, to give us some time to start looking at what we might want to do in 2027 and beyond. So we're going to start putting that together. In January, we should start bringing to the board the change authorizations for ecology again to get 26 underway. And then we'll start discussions about longer term planning in February, probably. So just heads up that we'll start those discussions, and you know, it's been going well. And so
Is it with the agreement? I mean, we'd still have to go to ecology though every year as we do on our end.
It depends. To do a change authorization, yes, we have been doing that on a year by year basis. If they're involved and we have a larger program, they might work with us and work with the irrigators and do something more long term. You know, they reached out to Bill last week as well. So they are aware that we're doing this. They want to be involved. They want to be helpful. So I'm sure something like that would be something we could talk to them about.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So you know, it's good that we're talking to them already. It's December. We're going to get paperwork started for next year right away, as soon as we can. And we'll start talking about a longer term solution.
Well, now we have approved concepts. So like,
it's been going well.
I even ran into a couple people at the Flood Awareness Week breakfast and heard nothing but good things, and then ran into Jenna Hagen.
Yeah.
And she also was just ecstatic about how it went. So
yeah.
Thank you guys.
And we're happy the way it went too. The administration was a lot easier with the flow meters that we had. The regulators and anybody who wanted to look at the data, it was available online for logging in and checking it out. So we didn't have to have a lot of extra communication back and forth on, is somebody pumping? How much are they pumping? The data was all there. So it was nice the way it went. Let's see what else in the information, in the packet, in the information section is the meeting dates. So our board meeting dates for next year, and then we overlaid the Waputa meeting dates in there as well. Not all of them, but the important ones. So if you print off that calendar or bookmark it or something, you can see where events are going to happen. The two that are coming up soon are the legislative reception down in Olympia on January 14th. And then on February 11th is the PD Day on the Hill. So there's a short session this year. I was talking to Cameron Bailey, our lobbyist, today. And so everybody's expecting that there's not very much money. I think they're going in with that belief and that expectation. He did hear that for whatever reason, if there is money available, that water projects are going to get looked at this year. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but what he said was that if we submit on projects, if water utilities submit on projects, it's just not going to get ignored completely. That's going to be one of their priorities for this season. So this session, it just depends on how much money is available. It all depends on that. So we will submit to them as well, to the state legislature, funding for the generator. We did it for the EPA grant, and that actually helps us in our applications to the state that we're looking for funding elsewhere. And then that way we may be able to get some kind of a partnership and get more funding than we can do just rather than just applying to one. So he was hopeful, but we will submit for sure. And then just on the one project, just to increase our chances. Let's see what else. I think that's mostly it. Mike Fox isn't here tonight, but he did say that the RO plant for Guimas Island has completed the galvanizing, and now it's just a matter of scheduling the integrators, QCC, and getting the package delivered and all that. So probably in the first couple of months of next year. So still making progress on that. And then we've got a lot on the agenda, so we can keep going unless there's any other questions. All right.
All right, let's tackle some new business. Final budget of the calendar year.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, there's a number of items for your consideration tonight. The first one is acceptance and passing the resolution for the budget 2026. We've had a public hearing on October 14th and had several work sessions subsequent to that, made some modifications to the budget. The updated budget is in your packet, the agenda packet, so you can have that, or we can get you a copy of that if you'd like one printed for you. The final operating budget is $21,720,000. And then in addition to that, we have $16 million of capital projects planned for next year. A total of $38 million in revenue. So we should cash flow nicely on that using reserves where needed. And then the budget incorporated a 5% across the board increase in rates, with a few exceptions that we'll talk about in the next resolution. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, we're asking approval of resolution 2316-25 for the 2026 budget.
Okay.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second item is 2317-25, which sets the rates, water rates, fees, and charges for next year. As mentioned, we did a 5% rate increase. The resolution has all of the fees associated with the fixed monthly fees and the variable tiered rates. The only exception to the 5% was tier 3, which went up just over 8.5% increase, which is to encourage the high consumers, high consumption for conservation efforts. So slowly that will be raised up so that it doesn't, the tier 3 right now is less than tier 1 and 2. So we want to continue to increase that one at a faster rate to encourage that in the future. Table 6 is also the system development charges for the year. And we are basing that on the construction index in Seattle, which happens to be negative for the last 8 months, I think, George, wasn't that right? About 6 or 8 months of the year, Seattle has been negative. So interesting, phenomenal, I'll call it that. And so the SDF charges will remain the same as they were last year. There'll be no increase or decrease. It will just remain flat. And then on the last page, table 9, are all of the deposits and new service account charges. All of those are also remaining the same as they've been in the past. So we didn't make any changes to those. So happy to answer any questions on those, or else the resolution is for your approval.
Question for Brian?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2317-25.
We have a motion.
And I second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you. All right. Ooh, Skagit net budget.
Yeah, I was expecting Sarah to be here,
I
but
was just gonna say, I'm
She's
gonna feel
not
ripped off if it's Sarah.
here yet.
All right, yeah,
Well, I can cover it at a high level, not to the level that Sarah would, but it's in our a plan of operations, in our agreement to approve a budget for each year. So this is the 2026 Skagit net budget. If you go through, let me scroll down to, let's see, Nick, it's page 52 in the packet. Maybe go there. So they're still doing projects. The port got curb funding and other funding as well, and so they're still completing 2 projects in the Bow area and in Fur Island, and so that is still ongoing. And then there is a line item for system expansion, the first row up there, but that's going to be funded by the port. So there's no funding put forward by the PUD. This is all net positive. And so that's a list of the projects. And then the next page just shows the cash flow projection. And then page 54, I guess, is the operating budget. So it does show revenues exceeding expenses. And the operating plan is in here as well. And Sarah and I have had discussions about updating that because at this point, it's basically just the Port of Skagit, taking care of it, taking care of the projects, doing system expansion. We are still using some of the fiber that is on Skagit Net's network. And so the plan of operations, what we discussed is revising it where we're still we'll have an interlocal, but it may not be as deep as what the LLC partnership is. So we still have to figure that out. Obviously we've been saying that now for probably a year. We just haven't gotten to the point of doing that. And so hopefully we can get to that stage this year. With the Astound agreement in place and them kind of taking care of a lot of the infrastructure now, it makes it easier for us to just back out into an interlocal rather than having the LLC. So I would expect that we'd get to that point this year. So the structure of the plan of operations is the same as it was last year. The port's leading the charge. I think there's a division of responsibilities in here in the plan of operations somewhere, but we act as the LLC's auditor. And decisions are made still jointly between us and them at this point. So I think this has been through the ports board. And so it's just now our turn to approve this budget, if you're willing.
Questions or discussion?
No, motion to approve the 2026 Skagit net budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, let's talk about the Panorama storage tank.
So one more resolution for consideration. As part of the capital improvement plan and the discussions that we had, this is the largest project for the next 3 years. It's estimated to be at $16.5 million. It's at 90% design, and we're going to move forward with that. As part of that, I've been looking at financing options, and so we're between cycles. As George mentioned earlier about the state budget, there is a lot of requests for state loans, but we successfully completed one for drinking water state revolving fund, and this is for the preliminary design completion of the Panorama, which was actually due last week. So Mark and Wendy and I hurriedly submitted an application just to get our name in the door. The first cycle is up in February. And then the rest will be in the spring, and there'll be another construction cycle later next year. But there would be issuing money. If it's the design, it'd be for the last 10% plus bid documents and the permitting. So we're doing an application for $725,000. This is one of the requirements. It's a resolution of support. And you can see it's a very generic resolution because it has a lot of things that don't apply to us. But the most important paragraph is at the end, is that we're not obligated unless we are happy with the terms of the agreement to move forward with it. But they do want to make sure that the boards are in support of the project, and it's in part of our capital improvement plan. So it's perfunctory and just housekeeping matter, but it'll be helpful to have it.
Excellent.
No surprises there.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2813 supporting the application for a low interest loan to fund the Panorama storage tank.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now recommendation award for hydrological services to Alger well.
Thank you. This item really has started, the Alger well has been on our mind, I guess, for a couple years. It was noted in the previous water system plan, the 2024 one-year extension, that the Alger well is below, well, there's a reservoir that's below capacity, and the pumping capacity is below what we need it to be in order to support the number of connections that are permitted out there. In addition to that, the existing capacity of the well doesn't meet what we need for capacity for the allowed number of connections. So this project proposes to re-drill the pump and put in a new pump house that is capable of treating 100 GPM. I think it's important to note that the Alger well was initially dug in 1960, and it reported a well extraction rate of 75 GPM. And then there were 2 LUDs in Alger that came in after that. And it has been supplying them for this long. And so now it's time to construct a well and pump house that meet our capacity needs or future capacity needs. So we are looking for approval on this. It is the first step of the process. Once we get design documents and construction documents, we'll come back when we award or bid the construction package. So we're seeking approval.
Questions or discussion?
So this is just strictly for design.
Yeah, it's geotech and design contract. Yes. Yep. And in the budget there, we have the 1.3 million is, this is kind of, doing commission memos this time of year is kind of tricky because what we put in here is the 1.3 million is 2026 and 2027. The 6,732 is what we've spent to date in 2025. So to say, we didn't want to say current year, prior year, but under normal circumstances, we're working under the assumption it's 2026. So the prior year is 2025. expenses.
Hydrogeological services contract related to the Alger well project. And it's a little on 137,000.
Terraphase.
Terraphase engineering.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, now let's talk about emergency response plans.
Kind of timely.
I was say.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so I'm before you today just to have an opening to a discussion about updating our emergency response plan and also to give the Board of Commissioners opportunity to review it before we actually sign and adopt it. More than anything, I wanted to just spend a moment and highlight some of the changes that were in it. Most of them are already captured in that memo. But some background included in that is that every 5 years, we're required by the America's Water Infrastructure Act to do a risk and resiliency assessment of our entire system every 5 years. On the heels of that, we're also required to update our emergency response plan, and it's supposed to be colored by the things that we learn during our risk and resiliency assessment. So it does tend to change the emergency response plan a little bit as time marches forward. The other thing that happens is we discover things within the existing plan that maybe didn't work as well as we thought they initially would. Things that we might have needed that we didn't think about at the time. So things that we added into it include putting employees' work phone numbers actually in printed format inside the plan, because if we lose power, we have no way to access those things. So we even added a requirement to make sure we had those plans printed and strategically placed around the PUD. So there's lots of small changes that were done to this, but those are some of the more formative ones. We also did a reassessment of our most critical infrastructure within our system. And in the last 5 years, we've done a lot of work on what was already previously designated as critical infrastructure where there was improvements needed. So anyway, that's in a nutshell. This is just here just to kind of point out the changes. I just wanted to open the floor for any kind of discussion or questions. And we do plan on coming back to the board to ask for an adoption at the next regular meeting.
Your discussion. Okay.
This will give you some reading over the holidays.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Excellent.
Thanks,
All right. Okay, now we need to approve a revised policy for short-term disability benefit.
Had a bunch of changes in the short-term disability policy. There weren't. There was one legislative change that changed it from number of hours to become eligible to number of days worked to be eligible. While updating it, we did some administrative changes and just to update the language, but nothing substantive. The only change really is the change from number of hours to number of days. But that's it.
Good.
Oh.
More like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Motion to approve revised policy number 1002, short-term disability benefits.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
All right,
so
motion
much.
carries. Thank you. All right, so now we've got a lot of good information in here. I see your designation. What's the of acting general manager in the absence? That's just new or
Informational.
Information. Yeah,
I would
it's
say, I just
doing it every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just nothing's
So-
changed on it.
okay. Good. All right. Thanks for calling that out. And George mentioned the schedule, and of course we like to see our budgets. All right, commissioner comments.
Just an update from SCOG. About 3 weeks ago, SCOG approved to enter a contract with Jill Boudreau as the next executive director. So looking forward to working with Jill, and she's going to get up and running in that position very quickly. So
Well, and again, I would say, well done on the training day. That was very, very well done last Friday. So it was exciting and it's just further testament of this is a great place to work and high performing organizations do stuff like that. So well done. That was really well done.
Took a lot of photos.
Yes.
You were in a lot of photos.
You were in them all.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I should have wore a Santa suit or
Well,
something.
20
to
years
do
from
that.
now, when that slide goes up.
Yeah, exactly.
right,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
time to get
That's what
in.
we've been missing are all those
That's
photos.
right. We can redo all those photos. Yeah, oh, that was great. All right, so now we have both a closed session and an executive session. So it is now 4:55, and we will recess into a closed session per RCW 423140 to discuss collective bargaining. And we will reconvene at
5:15,
5:15,
and there may be potential action.
and maybe potential action on that one.
And then-
And then we will go into an executive session at approximately 5:15. Or
We can
we'll
detail
roll right
that when
into
we
it.
come back out, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just in
Yeah.
case
So
we have
we'll
to
do them one
extend
at a
it.
time here. We'll
Yeah.
go into our closed session and then into executive
Then we'll come
session.
back. Yeah.
All right. 5:15 as advertised, we will reconvene and let's see here, we're going to entertain a motion. Yeah. to
So
approve.
I would motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 231 in the customer service bargaining group for 2026
320.
to
228.
December 31, 2028.
28.
Yep.
And I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries. Contract. Thank you. All right, now it is 5:15 and we will recess into an executive session per RCW 4230-110-1C to consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered and no action will be taken. And
5:45?
5:45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.